Welcome, and we're back with another edition of LPs Revisited. Today we're looking at the 1997 LP by The Bells, which was called The Ultimate Seaside Companion. I kind of think of this as like an overlooked 90s indie pop gem. I don't think it ever really gained much attention, notoriety. Anyway, this album, when it was originally released, was released under the artist name of The Bells, and then subsequent, like when it was reissued under the name Chris Connelly and The Bells. I think because it had done so poorly as just The Bells, they wanted to lean into the fact that this is essentially a Chris Connelly solo, project. And you may know, Chris Connelly from The Revolting Cocks, Ministry, Pigface, et cetera, et cetera. He's from England, but had moved to Chicago and was, highly influential in the industrial music scene that was happening there. Then in the early 90s, he kind of transitioned to more maybe art rock, just went a different direction. Yeah, so this is almost, 1997, this is the late 90s, probably recorded, a little bit earlier. So in the mid 90s, he is at this point doubling and tripling down on his, move away from, being a highly influential industrial music artist to this, which is more almost Baroque chamber pop, a la it's just a completely different style of music. So on this recording, The Bells released 2 albums, but on this recording, it includes Jim O'Rourke, from Gaster del Sol, William Riflin, is how I'm saying his name, from Ministry, Chris Bruce, who worked with Seal, Doyle Bramall III, among others. And the actual name, The Bells, was taken from the Albert Ayler album called The Bells, and then also the Lou Reed album called The Bells. I'm not sure. Apparently, Chris Connelly was a fan of both of those albums, and then I guess chose to name this project after them. Yeah, so this their debut album, again, I think they said they've released 2 albums ever, but this one released in 1997, debut release on HitIt Recordings. This is very lush, sophisticated pop, like very reminiscent of the early Scott Walker solo LPs, which I love. Also early Bowie comes to mind, as well as, I'd say, maybe because of the vocal style, it reminds me a little bit of what Nick Cave was doing in the early to mid 90s, but also has a lot of, other late 60s chamber pop vibes, tons of strings, horns, organ. I think a lot of it, I think that the string arrangements are not real, like they're, done in a computer. So just a few years after the release of The Ultimate Seaside Companion, there was a re-release of it that again was branded as Chris Connelly and The Bells, and it was remastered and expanded. I think there's 4 extra tracks on there, and 2 of those are live tracks. And then the following year, in 2001, they would release the sophomore album called Blonde Exodus. I don't know that everybody that was involved in the Ultimate Seaside Companion was involved in the recording of Blonde Exodus. I probably could have looked into that, but not that I saw. Yeah, so kind of re-listening to this LP a few times this week, I feel like I'm just not quite as hot on it as I was, in the late 90s when I had originally listened to this quite a bit. That said, I do still think this is excellent. It's something that I'm maybe a little bit surprised doesn't get a little more attention by some people somewhere. Tracks that stand out for me: Mississippi Palisades, My East Is Your West, and No More Changing of the Guard. Like those three, I think, are just terrific, terrific songs. But also Island Head, Caravan, and then the last track on the original release of the album, The Fortune 2. Well-crafted songs, I think. Well-crafted, you know, well put together songs. I like the lyrics. I like that vocal style. I'm a fan of as a fan of those early Scott Walker records, fan of Scott Walker in general. It's reminiscent of that. Also, you know, the French singers that Scott Walker was influenced by, also obviously. I still think kind of a criminally underheard album. People that like Belle and Sebastian, I feel like, would like this from that same time period. I think probably a lot of the people that maybe would have checked this out would have been turned off by it. You know, maybe just Chris Connelly fans generally, just because it's so far removed from Revolting Cocks and Pigface and that kind of thing. Just way far away from that. I listened to this via a rip of the original CD that I have, and then I also did find a place where I could listen to the remaster with the bonus tracks. I don't see that this is an easily streamable release, I guess, or at least not in the places that I looked, but I'm sure, as I was able to, you can find it to stream in different places. Highly recommend checking this out for people that haven't already, that it maybe sounds interesting to them. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.
The living bankside right, 'cause I live outside, and it sure feels right. I've been sent here to find the truth of an underwater dialogue I shared with you. I bet on horses that our secret side would rid us of sin, create a space for shame. We will feed off it till our voice is a thing. Did I hear you through the bells saying Peter had to offer? Sometimes all the risks you took decline, the other invitations to collapse or just die innocent.